What's going on, Brownie Bros? It is Big Time Brownie here for episode 1 of the xTransceiver podcast, a Pokemon podcast about news, lore, battle strategies, and more. We're also going to have some great guests from time to time. The first one is today. PokeaimMD, aka Joey, joins us to talk about his career and Pokemon. It's such a great conversation. Huge thanks to him for taking time out of his day to come onto the show. This podcast will be dropping every single Thursday on our YouTube channel. It'll also be dropping on Apple Podcasts very, very soon. All right, I'm going to get straight into the interview. I'll see you guys on the other side. I'm Brownie, and I am super excited to welcome PokeaimMD, aka Joey, to the channel. What's going on, Joey?
Yo, what's up, guys? You got Pokeaim here. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me on, and it's happy to be here. So
awesome. It's kind of surreal to hear that intro in person. I'm not gonna lie. So basically, Joey agreed to be on, which is awesome, and we're gonna talk a little bit about competitive Pokemon and Sword and Shield. So why don't we get right into it? Something that I'm really, I don't know, something that I think you're just awesome at, and I'm constantly amazed at, is your ability to identify win cons like almost instantly. Was that something that just came through practice? How did you sort of generate that skill?
that definitely came through a lot of losing. A lot, and when I say a lot of losing, I mean for years losing. In order to actually just, it's basically, it's a mixture of a few things. It's a mixture of awareness, knowledge, and obviously general knowledge, right? You know, if I see a Landorus in front of me, I know that this thing can run Choice Scarf, this thing can run Swords Dance, it can be defensive. So just knowing what a Pokemon can do. Awareness as in realizing, okay, if I do this, this will set up for this will do this. But really, it does come from a lot of practice and figuring out like what you're doing wrong when you're losing it and just going from there. And unfortunately for me, that's not something I find myself figuring out easily. So that's why I mentioned like I lost for years before eventually I ended up understanding.
So when or how did that click? Do you remember when that happened?
Like, yes. So definitely the year I started uploading to YouTube. Because after that, I was like, okay, I'm solid enough to actually be able to upload. That was 2010. That was 9 years ago. And I was in high school. And I was in this clan called Mass Destruction MD, founded over the summer. I was just on Cerebi chat. And I battled somebody. And they asked me to join their clan. I did. And I was battling people in the clan. And the leaders of the clan were just a lot better than me. So I would play them probably like after track practice, maybe 20, 30 times a day. Right, and just lose every single time. But little by little, I started realizing, okay, well, this is Gen 4. This Dragonite, like lead Dragonite can go for Outrage and knock me out. What am I going to sack to do this and this? And granted, back then it was probably a little bit harder, just because there's no team preview.
Right.
So I'm going based off of instinct, and that's where knowledge was super important, just to know what could be in the back and how to prepare for it. But definitely around 2010 is when I started to understand a little bit more. I think my playstyle has evolved throughout the years a lot, but I would say 2010 was for sure when that understanding started coming.
So at that time, would you like use the same team over and over again? Because now it's almost like any team you use, you sort of can identify the win con.
Well, that's definitely one of the pros of knowing how every single Pokemon works. Like back then, I actually read, I remember I printed out like 200 pages of Cerebi.net on all the Pokemon, right?
Damn.
And I just read them and memorized their movesets and all that stuff. I don't do that as much now because now we have Showdown and you know, we had Pokemon Online as well, or Shoddy Battle. I could just scroll through and look what they do and memorize it. But I think that, I don't know, it's it just all comes down to knowledge, you know, like just past knowledge. Right? Just realizing what a mon can do. That's why I love playing all these tiers. Like my Road to Top 10 series itself is designed to not only for me to reach top 10, but for me to learn the tier and also help the viewer learn the tier as I'm playing. So
do you find that? Sorry, I just hit my laptop. Do you find that talking through your thought process helps you when you're battling? When you're uploading? Okay.
Yes, for sure. I think sometimes it can be a little more detrimental than helpful, just because. If you're saying things out loud, you might be thinking a little bit more clearly. And for example, there could be a Landorus in front of me, and I could say, like I said, this could be Z, this could be Swords Dance or whatever. But like because I'm speaking it out loud, it might be like, oh my gosh, no, I have to make this play, so I deal with that. But at the end of the day, maybe the answer's right in front of me. So it's sometimes it's really helpful, sometimes it's not. But I think for the most part during Sword Art Lives, being able to talk through your plays not only has helped me in Pokemon, but also just in general, right? Like I can talk to anybody and probably be
Right.
myself. And a lot of that has to do with me talking to a computer a lot. So, and talking through my plays.
So what advice would you give to someone who's just coming into competitive battling? I saw you had a tweet like asking people what got them into competitive battling.
Yeah.
And you can talk about that too, like what responses you got, because I didn't get a chance to go through those responses. But
So
go ahead.
yeah, we actually got a bunch of responses, very similar to me. A lot of people actually came up through YouTubers. I played competitive Pokemon, well, quote unquote competitive Pokemon for years. I actually went to a tournament back during Red, Blue, Yellow as a little kid, right,
Wow.
in like Toys R Us. But it's not like I really understood what was happening. It was just
Right.
Pokemon, Mom, go, like type of thing. But yeah, I definitely think it can be a little bit intimidating. And one of the things you need to learn is there's just some basic stuff you got to learn, right? Obviously, typings, what type is super effective against what type, and what do Pokemon do, which is a lot harder. Which is why I say play a little bit of Battle Factory, play some. I think Battle Factory is way better than playing random battles because random battles
For
will give you
sure.
the illusion that your Zangoose is going to always outspeed my Latios, for instance. It'll give you like some sort of illusion like
Right.
that, which when it's not true, it's the level curve and the EVs. So I think that Battle Factory is definitely a big thing. I myself am personally working on like an ultimate guide to competitive Pokemon that hopefully will be
Oh,
out
awesome.
before November or around early November before Sword and Shield, which will also say like, hey, I'll have guides for Sword and Shield because obviously breeding and things will be
Right.
updated. There will be updated stuff. But I wanted to get this because if you look at the Smash community, for instance, you can find so many videos on the fundamentals of Smash. Right? If you want to learn
Hmm.
Smash, any game, you'll find so many detailed videos on it, and that's awesome. And Pokemon, no, nothing like that.
Right.
So
Right.
definitely learning it, and also,
Right.
I mean, my boy Mr. Janvat's coming out with a big book as well. So I would say
Wow.
get the book too.
Well, and that actually reminded me. I think 2 years ago or something, I was watching a Cybertron video, and he was talking about how the great thing about Pokemon is that you don't need mechanical skill to be able to
Correct.
improve. And I mean
Correct.
that you just alluded to that there. So what advice would you give to that player who's coming? Is it just going? You talked about random battles. Is there anything else? Because I know a lot of people who are coming in, they'll like try to build a team right away, without really knowing what how to properly construct a team. Or
I
go ahead.
That's tough. That's tough. Sorry, by the way, I'm not trying to
No,
cut you off.
no, no,
I'm
don't
like I'm
no.
like I'm like thinking out loud as if it was like a video type of thing.
No, no,
So I was
don't.
like,
Yeah, don't, you can cut me off anytime. It's just I want for me because I've learned a lot just from watching you. I know a lot of people, including myself. I fall into this sometimes. Is that a lot of people take it turn by turn rather than thinking about preserving their win con or thinking
yeah,
about 2, 3 moves in advance. And for you, you sort of talked about it already about how it was practice and losing, but is that something that you're consciously thinking about in the moment, or is it something that just comes to you at this point?
so so I mean, you got to think about it like at the big picture. I feel like because every
Right.
play should have a purpose, right?
Hmm.
Unless I'm on autopilot, which is like when I'm tilted or I just want to chill and just click buttons. Every play should indeed have a purpose, and there should be meaning behind it. Um, I think in terms of building a team, you mentioned it being harder for new people. That is 100% true. I don't think there's any proper way to build a team. I'm going to say
Hmm.
that first.
Yeah.
Just like there's different ways to, it's not like riding a bike, right?
Right.
You're not going to ride it in one specific way and then learn that forever. No, it's never like that. Uh, I think one of the things you can do, you already mentioned. I feel like watching people who are good at the game starts to at least get you to understand. But a lot of that comes from just knowledge and understanding, like okay,
Right.
preserving and doing things like that. But just taking teams that are already been proven to work can be really cool because uh, I think the worst thing you can do for team building is try and build just based on the fact that okay, this is an S list threat, this is an A
Right.
list threat. Like for example, they have viability rankings, and then never have played the tier. So when you come in, oh, this is an S tier threat, but you don't know what to do versus it. So you definitely
Absolutely.
want that experience. So even just picking up teams that have been used, which is why there are sample team threads and stuff like that.
Right.
And I try to leave teams in the description of the videos when I feel like they are, worth leaving, and I'm not using like some sort of meme or anything. Um, Doing that will help you understand at least the tier because at the end of the day you got to play, right? You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have the practice, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be like, agreed, Pokemon does not require mechanical skill, but to some degree, you have to understand at least how to battle,
Right.
right?
Right. So, I mean, in the same vein, I just sort of want to start off by talking about more for new battlers or people who aren't as, I would still consider myself, because I got into it in about Gen 5 and I took a break for a little while and I came back in Gen 7. And it's completely different now than, it was back
Correct.
then.
Correct. Yeah.
And that can be a little bit overwhelming too. But what is the biggest mistake if you're battling against someone? What's the biggest mistake you see people make? Or when they're just
Uh,
starting to battle?
so definitely, this their risk versus reward measurement, I think, is
Mm.
the biggest thing.
So you mean by
I'll
like
play
too aggressive?
as in yes, yes. For example, I have a Metagross. My opponent has my opponent has a Metagross. I have an Infernape out in the field, right? So I have a fire type. They have a steel type. I already know they're not Choice Scarf. I know they're not Aqua Berry. I can kill them with a fire type move.
Right.
They have a perfectly good answer in the back in, like, let's say Toxapex. A
Mm-hmm.
perfectly good answer in the back in Toxapex. And even though I can switch into Toxapex, so I know this is really layered, but I'm just trying to give that example.
Absolutely.
Even though I can switch into Toxapex really well, they don't lose anything by
Right.
me switching into Toxapex because they're not out of the game just yet. So if I double, and this is also me potentially not making the best play either. But if I double and they decide to risk their Metagross there as I switch in and they knock me out, I would argue that is a worse play for the opponent, or a bad play for the opponent. Whereas, what's it called? Whereas, like, they needed Metagross in the game, right?
Right.
So in that situation where they stay in and I actually stay in myself and I decide to attack what's in front of me because I can switch in comfortably to Toxapex,
Right.
right? It's a better trade for me. I don't lose anything by fire moving into Toxapex because I can pivot into it perfectly. But
Definitely.
they lost their way to deal with my Dragon type because they've lost their Steel type.
Right.
So definitely this risk versus reward management, and that's like something that's really tough to teach because you can just say, "Oh well, you got outplayed here," and you can
Right.
say, "Sure," but if my opponent had a way of winning it without making the risky play, that is arguably the wrong play.
Right.
And that's something that me and Mr. Jambad say a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, I'll be like, I don't understand why they made that play. They had this and this.
Right.
And you'll
Right.
see a comment that says, "Well, you just got predicted." And I was like, okay, sure. If that's the mindset you want to have of it, sure. That's not going to let you improve.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's so true because that's something you see a lot on the lower ladder is just over prediction after over prediction, and you can really take advantage of that if you're just playing smart.
Correct. It's like doubling around. If you have Stealth Rock up and
Right.
your opponent keeps doubling around, like, okay, cool. You're predicting me, but Stealth Rock are slowly but surely killing your Pokemon
Right.
while you're doing no damage to me.
Right. Well, the other thing is when you kill a Pokemon and then they sack for some reason. If a Pokemon's going to die to like rocks or spike, they bring it in anyway and just sack it before using
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
as a.
Exactly. As like a pivot or something.
Right.
Like,
Right. Okay,
yeah,
that's
because those
interesting.
are positioning is super important too. So
Absolutely. So let's talk about a little bit about your content creation because we were talking about before I started recording how it seems like you've been expanding a lot. You always did some other stuff, but it's mostly been Showdown for a long time for you. But now it seems like you're really branching out with Cage Lock with A Drive. You're in the WBE. I won't spoil what happened, which was BS, but yeah. So what's next for you and your channel?
well, I mean, I've always definitely, like, I started off as a Wi-Fi battle channel, so
Mm-hmm.
that's I always love Wi-Fi battling.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason I stopped doing it, like I was doing it with Let's Go as well. The reason I stopped it with Let's Go is because of all the Mewtwo's I was fighting every game. Had I been fighting like real people, basically, or real teams every game, I would have been really happy. So I
Yeah.
actually love that metagame. I definitely wanted to collab more with A Drive as well because I think Dan is someone who has in the last few months grown closer to me as a friend. So we're actually like a lot better friends. I think we're really close, and because it's somebody that I not only admire their work ethic and whatnot, but actually like them as a person. I
Right.
wanted to bring them more on the channel. The WB, I love Draft League as well. So come Sword and Shield, definitely Pokemon Showdown Lives are going to stay. But I'm going to try and put this big emphasis on Wi-Fi battles as well, because before Gen 6, Wi-Fi battling was the biggest thing,
Right.
on YouTube, right? I did Pokemon Showdown Lives and Pokemon Online Lives back then, and I was doing them alongside Wi-Fi battles, and Wi-Fi battles still used to do a little bit better. Shutdown Lives and Pokemon Online was right before, but then it became where, well, the whole majority of what's it called, the majority of the YouTubers stopped doing Wi-Fi balancing. They started doing let's plays. I was like, oh, okay, well, I can't do this. But I feel like with Sword and Shield, with the master tier and the ranking system they have, it's this new chance for Wi-Fi battling to grow again. So I plan on doing, guides like I usually do in the beginning of a generation. Showdown Live, showing off that Pokemon, and then Wi-Fi Battle, showing that off, but also taking a stab at, road to master rank, right? In battle spot singles. That's something I would love to be able to be a master rank. And I always say VGC is something I want to try, but it's just, it's really a time thing.
Right.
And as a content creator, if I'm going to these events where I'm not always able to vlog, which is the truth, you can't have like a phone out during games and stuff, obviously, cheating and stuff like that, which makes sense.
Right.
Or I got to pay for a hotel, got to pay to enter the event, and potentially walk away with Pokemon cards?
Right.
Things like that are not always worth it. Right. But I think at the moment, especially because we have all this time to fill before Sword and Shield, it's okay to experiment, but also let your people know you're alive. Like I'm still enjoying. I'm doing a whole bunch of different series with my friends that I'm enjoying a lot.
Yeah.
And I want to put the emphasis back on competitive as Sword and Shield comes, and the whole goal with that is, competitive to grow as a whole. So if I'm uploading Wi-Fi battles and 10 other content creators doing it and they see it's doing well, and you have like 10 other ones from that decide to do it and people come into it, that's awesome. Like, grab you in. Maybe you'll like Showdown too. And I get why Showdown's so popular. It's accessible,
Absolutely. Well, okay, so yeah, I'm going to skip down here because I have a couple questions about the state of competitive play in Pokemon and accessibility of Pokemon and singles in general. Do you think Pokemon will officially ever truly embrace singles battling? I know they have this new tiered system coming out, which is really exciting, but we don't know a whole lot about that. Go ahead.
No, you can keep going.
Well, I was just going to say, it seems like, Smogon and Showdown have really been the place for singles battling since competitive Pokemon was a thing, and it hasn't really been something that the Pokemon Company has focused on. So can you envision them, and I know you probably don't have like any inside information or anything like that, but can you envision them expanding what they do with that beyond just having a rank system, a true rank system?
So from what I know, if there is a community that shows enough like presence, they will take notice. So I think that them making this battle spot singles master rank thing and also VGC master rank thing is potentially a test, as in if a lot of people are doing this road to master rank type of thing, or a lot of people are showing that, there's potential that it could be a tournament style. I don't think 6v6 necessarily would ever, not ever, but in the near future would become something. But I know that if battle spot singles gets a lot of love, there is potential. And I've talked with a few people about things, and not that I can't say much more than that, but I do know that that there's potential for that. And even Smogon itself, I feel like Smogon needs to expand and grow in what they do and really make a push, because I mean, the TCG has its own basically Pokemon Showdown, right? It already has its own simulator and everything. Why doesn't the competitive side have this?
Yeah.
So exactly. So like, I definitely think that there's something they could do. There's room for expansion. There's money in it too, and there's definitely things we could do. And even then, like, I wouldn't mind if I had to pay, $20 more for literally a battle pack, right?
Right.
Where it's the equivalent of the Showdown Team Builder or Pika Hex or whatever you want to call it, that gives me my Pokemon in the game and lets me battle. Now, I do think that every generation they make it easier to get Pokemon, but it needs to be easier than it is.
It absolutely does.
Now.
Well, so even in Gen 7, I was like, okay, I kind of want to get into VGC, and they added bottle caps and gold bottle caps, and I think Legendaries had automatically 3 perfect IVs or whatever.
Yes.
But I mean, it takes so much time.
The barrier for entry for a competitive game should not be getting the tools possible to play the competitive game.
Right. Exactly. And like you mentioned, like you alluded to, I mean, it's not like there's a huge payout for being a VGC player. I mean, they're increasing the money, but I mean, is it really worth spending all that time?
And the issue with that is they can't increase the money unless there are more players.
Absolutely.
And because a lot of players aren't actually able to do it because the prices are increasing and the prizes aren't worth it, they go hand in hand with each other. So again, I do like the bottle caps. I do like the PP maxes. I think personally, you should be able to buy PP maxes for $1.
Yeah.
You should be able to buy it for $1, not battle points either. I should be able to buy them in regular Pokemarts. I should be able to buy Battle Ready Star in regular Pokemarts.
Right.
Like just like that. I think that should be possible, because if you want more people to play the game, at least on the competitive side, And that's the reason why TCG is a lot easier. People just buy cards, and you know,
Right.
it makes more money for them. It
Right.
costs more money to play, but it takes less time,
Right.
arguably, because you can just buy everything you need.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Well, and like you said, the TCG online, you really, if you, I mean, obviously they don't do their actual battles at tournaments online, but I mean, if you want to play TCG online, you really don't have to spend anything. They do a great
Nothing at
job of
all.
giving you packs and
The introduction is amazing as well.
right,
Like it's really good.
right. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I think for them, like the problem has been they don't want you just creating Pokemon. Like they want you to feel a connection to your Pokemon, and that's sort of something that they've preached. But I mean, if they just kept those Pokemon in the competitive side, like you couldn't bring them into the game, I wouldn't even mind that either. You know, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there are ways around it, and they're not. And I'm hoping that they'll improve on that in the
well,
next
in order
season.
for it to improve, like I said, it needs to be shown. That's why I'm really taking a stab at battle spot singles going forward as well. And I even tried to do it last year, but unfortunately with the DS and connection, things were just weird, right? I kept
Right,
getting disconnected.
right,
And even with VGC, like I was so late into the meta that I
right.
just wasn't able to do it. So
Right. Well, and that's the other exciting thing about Sword and Shield is it's going to make recording so much easier for a lot of people to get
correct.
their content out there, which it's been hard to a lot of people they don't participate in Wi-Fi battles because they can't or like in a draft league on YouTube because they don't have the capability of even recording or uploading their
Exactly.
games. So that's awesome. That's really interesting. So, in terms what do you think Pokemon can do to improve the meta because I think for a long time now we've seen even in VGC, Landorus Therian's pretty popular in Gen 7. It was what was it? It was the Tapus. They were in every VGC match and pretty much
Yeah.
on every show
Bring up
on every singles match.
Incineroar.
Um, so I mean, do you think they should be balancing Pokemon like with patches? Do you think that's something they would consider
Yes.
doing?
So the way they actually do it, they do give balance patches, but the balance patches are basically the new games where they buff or
Right.
debuff, you know, or if they nerf Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
That's what they do. They do it in the new games. You've seen it with like Pelipper getting Drizzle going into
Mm-hmm.
another one. You've seen it with the parental bond ability and the aerialate and the 8 abilities basically all getting nerfed as well from
Mm-hmm.
like megas, and that's because like top 16 was like you had like 8 Kangaskhans, 8 Salamences. So
Right.
they say, yeah, that's too much. So they do that, but I feel like they need to be nerfing it during the season itself. If something is a problem, there was a time where Smeargle was so dumb, um, just with Moody,
Moody.
Dark
Yeah.
Void, and they eventually, you know, in the generation after they made, well, they nerfed Dark Void to hell and back. All they had to do was make it that only Darkrai could use it,
Right.
but they nerfed it completely by making it 50% accurate as well. But it shouldn't take an entire year of the community, the people actually playing it, complaining about it
Right.
for it to come into fruition.
Right.
No, this is something that should be done. There should be someone that listens to the people
Right.
and is like, oh, okay, this is something that maybe should be doing. Like Smash community, I know a lot of people complain about Lilat, and I know at certain tournaments it's banned. But
Right.
I do know that there are constant nerfs happening every few months after a tournament after tournament. And I think that's something that should be said too. We have regionals and mid-season showdowns or whatever they are all
Mm-hmm.
the time, internets all the time for VGC. Look at the results of that, see what needs to be changed, and tweak it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Also, don't take forever to give us certain things. We still haven't gotten Eternal Floette. It took us Volcanion we got at the end of
At the end of
Oras.
Gen 6. Yeah.
I feel like they forgot about that mon because there was definitely the movie before, way
Right.
before.
Well, it kind of
Like,
seems like they forgot a lot about Gen 6, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. There's just a lot. There's just a lot like things like that. Just and now the cool thing is I have a lot of hope because they are doing max raids
Yeah.
in Sword and Shield, and max raids are sometimes going to have Pokemon that are either with hidden abilities that you can get there or Pokemon that are not necessarily accessible
Right.
in the game. So this is pretty cool because they're going to be that's basically a sort of patch in itself. They're going to be giving us Pokemon.
Right.
Ideally, it'd be like weekly, maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every month. I don't know how they're going to be doing it,
Right.
but things like that I think are really cool. But all in all, give us some sort of balanced patches
Right.
throughout the season. If people are complaining, listen. That's it.
Right. And it's not like, it's not like it really matters for offline play either. If someone doesn't
For
want to
sure.
update, who cares? Like, they can play through the game however they want. But, they should be doing, every competitive game does it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it makes sense for them to do that. And,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, and every competitive game does not wait for an entirely new game to do it.
Exactly. And, you mentioned, you know, max raids, and I mean, obviously Dynamax is coming, and Mega Evolution and Z moves are going away. But before I talk about that, I just want to say quickly that I think a lot of core Pokemon players kind of crap on Pokemon Go players, which and the whole Pokemon Go experience, because it sort of led to Let's Go. But I think it's really opened the Pokemon company's eyes about how they need to make their game so accessible, because Pokemon Go is super accessible.
Correct.
And these people want to play. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually love so many things about that game. The fact that my pack was in my book bag, how easy it was to get my Pokemon as well, and like also like online how I can put like Pikachu, and go on a ladder and find somebody, right, and play a 6v6 battle. That's not something you can do at all.
No.
In regular Pokemon games, and that's crazy to me. Like I should be able to, like, I mean, battle spot singles, yeah, you bring 6, pick 3,
right,
but I should be able to do a 6v6 battle like in a regular game. That's literally, singles is literally how your games are designed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I understand that VGC makes it maybe easier, faster, sure, but give me some way to do that. Like I don't see why that's not the case.
Right. And maybe you can argue that VGC, it's easier to counter OP Pokemon, but I mean, it hasn't really changed what's been brought.
I mean, it's not like it matters. Like it's the same thing.
Right.
Like if Pokemon is broken, you ban it. That's what Smogon does.
Right.
That's what we're gonna do. Like if Amon is too good, like if Amon comes in and is too good, like I see the whole thing of the no national decks. People are like, well, what if Blacephalon gets in and Blacephalon? There's no Tyrantars in the game, but you know, an example. There's no Tyranitar, no Chansey. Well, we blame Blacephalon. Like, what's the problem? Like if it's no like OP, then ban it. That's it, and we move on.
Or patch it. That's the other option.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like, well, I mean, in terms of Smogon can't.
Right. Smogon can't. Yeah. Well, okay. But before we get into Dynamax, so how is so I heard there's gonna be 2 ladders, right? One with everything and one with just what's in Gen 7.
Like a legacy OU, which would be basically, you know, a remembrance of everything.
So which one do you think is gonna be more popular?
Personally, I mean, I know that tournaments are going to be done via the actual game.
Okay.
So that one might be more popular in terms of competitive, or at least that play style will be more popular. But I don't know. A lot of people might be like, oh, well, you know, I missed all this stuff, and I want to play this. I don't know. I'll definitely be doing
will
both.
there be like Dynamax, Mega Evolutions, and Z-Stones all on the same ladder?
Yes, but I'm sure they just basically won't be updating all like certain Pokemon.
Okay, that makes sense. Sure. That makes sense. Speaking of Dynamax, I have a couple of questions. So one, what are your initial thoughts about it? And along with that, like getting rid of Mega Evolutions and Z-Stones. And then, I mean, you can take your time to answer that. But also, do you think we're sort of at the point where every generation we're just going to have, I don't want to say gimmick, but like a twist to battling? Because, yeah, I mean, I also hope not. Because it's just kind of tiresome to me. And it seems, I don't know, it seems counterproductive.
I don't think it's necessary. I really don't think it's necessary. I'm actually completely fine. I think Z moves were stupid, personally. I don't, and I said this example before, my Swords Dance Rock Smash Skarmory should not have a chance to knock out Heatran. Like, that's a counter to the Pokemon, and vice versa. I should not have to, not only do I have to take into account Choice Specs, Life Orb, and things like that, but this one-turn nuke for my counter, like, I just think that Z moves are almost, like, just unbalanced in itself. And, I would love some sort of, I think that they're not there. Megas, obviously, you know, I'm gonna miss Megas. I love certain Mega Pokemon, but I mean, having a whole generation without them made me kind of like, all right, well, they're gone now.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do? But I mean, we don't need any of those if you're just buffing old Pokemon.
Right.
Like if you're buffing all the whack Pokemon, it's fine. And I think that's kind of what they wanted to do with Dynamaxing, because every Pokemon has a chance to be good, and I think that's exactly what they want to do. They said they are. It looks like they're actually caring a lot about competitive in terms of VGC, and I have no idea how Dynamaxing is going to be personally. I don't know. I know what we know, but like, who knows, right? At the end of the day, we don't know until we play with it. But I do like the idea of that, and being able to protect on Dynamax moves too, and being able to counteract that. I think it's definitely going to be at least that. I think a lot of battles are going to be determined on when you Dynamax and when you don't.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a Z move, right? It's not a one-time thing. You get 3 turns to do it, and any Pokemon can do it. So
right, that's true. Like with certain Z moves, you can just click it and be fine. It doesn't really matter. Interesting. So what is your biggest desire or hope for Sword and Shield? We're only 2 months away now, which is crazy. But
I mean, For the community or for the game?
Either one. Take it however you want it.
So for the community, I definitely want this emphasis on competitive to come back. And not even competitive, man, just Wi-Fi battles in general.
Yeah.
I really want Wi-Fi battles to come back. Uh, I think they're so pretty and so fun to watch, and I would
Yeah.
love like all the big YouTubers doing them again, because when
Right.
that happens, man, that I feel like the whole scene grows
Right.
as a whole, right?
Right. Well, and honestly, what got me into competitive battling was me watching Shady. And obviously,
Exactly.
he doesn't do it like, but I mean, I loved watching them, and I was like, wait,
2
this is
videos
awesome.
a day. That is what I say. Like, coming your way. Like, I'm serious. Like, I understand that, because that is what gets people into competitive, and then you can make them, assimilate into like Pokemon Showdown type of thing
Right.
if they want to play, take it to a next level.
Right.
But I do think that this emphasis on Wi-Fi battles needs to come back, because for a
Right.
long time there had been this emphasis on Let's Plays, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, but you want more people to keep the competitive community alive. If you actually want it to have purpose and growth and beyond whatever YouTube is. Right. So,
well, not only that, you get to see how good, like, Dan is just an exceptional battler. He's an incredible battler, and he, like, most of his content hasn't been just competitive battling,
For sure, exactly. But I know that as well. He also wants to have, like, he's definitely taking competitive, like more of a stand on competitive. Like, obviously shiny hunting is what he came up from, and he does the occasional draft league as well too, and the occasional Let's Play. So he's a good mixture of both. But I know he wants to bring back more competitive, and I feel like it's necessary. I mean, if you look at Twitch right now, if you look at Pokemon Sword and Shield, or even Pokemon Sword and Shield, if you look at Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, or the Let's Go section, both of them have like less than 200 viewers total. Wow. It's insane. Like, it's insane. Like, when I go live, I can have like triple that. Like,
right.
So, like, in itself, so like I definitely want to be able to come back to maybe not necessarily Twitch or YouTube or mixture, wherever it's on, right? I don't care where it is, as long as it's growing. I want to be able to come back and see other people play too, because I love competitive, so seeing other people play competitive is awesome. And there's just something about like Showdown. It's like, yeah, Showdown's awesome once you get into competitive, but it's not as alluring.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. I mean,
it's just not aesthetically pleasing.
Right. I mean, I love Showdown, but yeah, it's not. I mean, it's honestly like, it's not the same watching that either as it is watching, someone do a Wi-Fi battle.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, obviously there are perks to Showdown, like, and they should take stuff from Showdown. They started to, like, notifying you of what hazards are on the field, or if Trick Room is up or whatever. I mean, they can make the actual game more friendly to competitive battlers while you're battling. So yeah, I mean, what about for the game itself? What is something that you are hoping for or want to see?
Lots of buffs on old Pokemon that are pretty much forgetful. They already did it to Farfetch, right? Now, it's funny because they actually did to Farfetch before Sword and Shield came out, so I'm pretty sure they knew which ones they were going to do. Okay. And it's actually funny because, like, one leak talked about a bunch of mons that got buffed, and so far those mons have received love, right? So Farfetch went from like base 65 to like base 90, I think, attack. And now it has Surfetched, obviously, as its evolution.
Farfetched itself. I've tried to close myself off to those, just because I like looked into everything for Sun and Moon, and it was kind of,
I'm sorry.
No.
It's public information. So
yeah. That's completely fine. I just didn't see that. But that's awesome. I mean, okay. Wait. So if you want, I mean, you're welcome to talk about other buffs too. I don't really.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, like, in general, obviously, we saw wheezing and coughing get their Galarian forms.
Right.
I think forms are, as I mentioned, we don't need a gimmick at all. I think Pokemon doesn't need a gimmick, right? I do think regional variants are amazing because they make sense.
Yeah, they make sense.
Because animals are just like that. That is exactly what animals do. When the winter rabbit or the snow rabbit is white to camouflage with the snow so it can escape predators.
Right.
But like in a forest, it's brown. Like, it's just things like that. So like, I feel like this is something that can keep going, and I love that they did it. Galarian regions make a lot of sense, and I hope we keep getting different regions like that.
Right.
I don't think we need any more, like you said, gimmicks, and I think that's an appropriate word. I don't need that anymore. I don't need a shiny button, and I understand why they're doing it. It gets to sell to kids and things like that too. I would love a challenge mode that I can access immediately.
Right.
I don't know why they only did it with black and white and never gave it to us again. I think that was a fantastic thing, but I do think that they should give it to us immediately as an option. I do think that should be an immediate option. Absolutely. I'm actually, and you know what? I mean, I'm completely fine with not every Pokemon being in the game. I think it opens up the door for different strategies and different Pokemon that can actually have a chance to be good. I always bring out Metagross. Metagross was a Titan in Gen 3 and Gen 4, and then Gen 5, 6, 7 went down. He obviously got a Mega, but besides that, regular Metagross kind of went down. Metagross is an RU right now. It's insane. Like I never knew what the RU tier didn't exist back in Gen 3 and 4, right?
Right.
But like if you ever told me that Metagross went anywhere below OU, I'd be like, are you crazy? This is Metagross.
No, I know. A lot of that you look at RU now, it's like, it's like Pokemon that are like
it's beasts. Right. It's like beasts, bro. You have Cresselia down there too. Like you have a whole bunch of beasts. So
for Alligator was down there for a little while too.
Exactly. So it's just like things like that. It's like, okay, well, so buffs to these Pokemon, and obviously having this sort of having this way where there's less Mons, so maybe this Mon has a chance to be a Titan again. So I would love buffs to old Mons. That's the biggest thing I want.
Awesome.
And obviously nerfs to overpowered Mons, so that way they can be some sort of mixture of both. That's really what I want.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I was sad about the National Dex just because, I want to bring as many Pokemon as I can. But I think honestly, like the more I thought about it, it does make sense for them to focus on buffing bad Pokemon and making it. I don't know. I think eventually we're gonna get all of them anyway in Generation 8. At least I'm hopeful of that, but I think for now I'm not.
Well, maybe not in Gen 8, but in the games going forward and stuff like that, we'll see. But
okay, so this is a question. So when you're playing through a game for the first time, like for me, I guess playing competitive Pokemon has made me kind of jaded. Like when I catch like a Caterpie, when I was like 10 years ago, I was like, oh cool, I'll use a Butterfree. Now I'm like, it's trash. I'm not going to use it when I'm playing through the game. Are you like that too, or do you just?
I'm actually not.
Okay.
But it's less. Honestly, it's less like I actually don't care about all the old Pokemon, but I want to catch every new Pokemon. I want to see what they can do.
Right.
It's actually funny because it actually ties in with how I feel about spoilers as well. Spoil me. Give me the entire game beforehand. And I'll still be just as excited as if I didn't have the game, because I either get more. I get more excited because I know what to look forward to. It's like, oh, this is gonna be so cool for competitive. Oh, this is gonna be so fun to use in the game. I can't wait to use Air Cutter and get my boost because of my ability on this gym leader or whatever.
Right.
So like, I don't think it jades me. I just love Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't give me a jaded view on it at all. I just completely love Pokemon, and it's like whatever new Pokemon I want. Oh, another big thing for Sword and Shield. I make all the new Pokemon easily accessible. The big thing that Sun and Moon did, that's Ultra Sun and Moon kind of fixed, is that why was it I had to like get a 3% chance to fish out this Delmise? Why did I have to chain a million Corsola to get top? Now that was cool. That was lore behind Toxapex. Toxapex eats Corsola, so that was really cool.
Right.
But other exceptions were like, I'm tired of seeing the same Zubat, the same thing, the same like things like that.
Right.
Make them easier.
Right. Well, no, it's true. So when I was playing through the game, like at first I didn't look up evolutions, but I had or how to evolve Pokemon, and I had like a Chargebug, a Crabrawler, and I luckily caught a female Salandit because I didn't know. I ran into a female Salandit I didn't know, But I remember I was like almost at the Elite at the Elite Four, and I had a Crabrawler still, and I was like, how the hell do you evolve this thing?
Exactly.
I'm like level 40.
Like granted, in Ultra Sun and Moon, like I said, they made it a lot easier to evolve.
Right.
They made everything easier, so that's something as it should be. It should be like that in the original one. I want to use the new Pokemon. I shouldn't have to read a guide on Cerebi, like in order to figure out how to evolve, which I'm completely fine with too. That's another thing. People get. I know for Sun and Moon, people were upset at me when I was like, "Oh, Dark type's got this buff. Oh, this type, this Mon now learns this move." And people were upset. I was like, "Why are you spoiling the game?" I was like, "Oh, okay. I didn't realize you'd understand game mechanics by battling through with your level 5, Caterpie as a game. This is not game mechanics. These are competitive things that we only get because we data mine the video.
Right.
Like we data mine the game.
Right.
So
that's completely different to me. Like I want to know that stuff. I think for me, Sun and Moon, it was just I was really excited about Alolan forms, and then like to play through and find out that there was only one that they didn't reveal. I was kind of disappointed, but I mean, I get it.
It was Geodude as well.
Yeah, it was Geodude. Right? Yeah, I ran into it. I was really excited because I thought that was it. The ones
they definitely gave a lot, and
right?
Like,
but they haven't
giving a lot is
they haven't
a lot exactly. And the thing with giving a lot is I don't mind it as long as there's more.
Right. Well, and like
Yeah.
so like the Aether Foundation was so transparently the bad guys in all the trailers and stuff,
Correct. Correct.
So I mean, I think now there's so much they haven't revealed, which is great. All right, what do we have? We have like 15 minutes left here. So I have a little game. It's not really a game, but I'm gonna throw out some like ideas. And I want you to tell me if it's a good idea or if it's overpowered, because
Okay.
some of these have been suggested and I found some online and I came up with some. But all right, so good idea or overpowered? A Pokemon ability like Sketch, where it could sketch any ability
Ooh,
except
that's
for
fun.
Wonder Guard, maybe.
Wait. So it's Trace basically
It's Trace, but not in battle, so you can do it not in.
beforehand.
Yes.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's broken. That's
Okay.
broken. Not being able to know what ability my dude
Yeah.
has. That's broken.
The ability to hold one item and a berry in addition.
I think that's fine if Pokemon that aesthetically should be able to do that. Ambipom,
Ambipom.
for instance. So
Okay.
things like that, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Only if that one gets that specific one.
Right. I wanted to word that correctly because I don't want you to be able to like put a choice band and a scarf on a Pokemon. That seems kind of broken. Special attack, intimidate.
I think that Intimidate is already super good as it is, and special attackers don't like. Special attackers kind of suck personally. That's why like Intimidate has been so spread everywhere.
Right.
And I mean by that is that like, I don't think people think they're, or even the game thinks they're, the people in charge of it think that it's so good that they need that sort of
Right.
like nerf.
Right.
I think that it's already harder. A lot of special attacks or spread moves, for instance, in terms of VGC and things like that. I wouldn't be against it, but I feel like it's not necessary.
Cool. Trick Room extender.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I've always been that make it broken in VGC, but in it make it a viable playstyle in singles. So that'd be fun.
Scrappy for psychic types.
I like that. I like that a lot. Shouldn't have to use Miracle Eye or like trick a ring target or something to use psychic. I like that a lot.
Right. Assault.
Make it neutral.
yeah, make it neutral. Assault vest for defense.
Yep, this is basically my top 5 items I want in Sun and Moon. This is literally like I made a video and these are.
Oh, you made a video? Yeah. I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
What's the next one? Trick Room as an ability.
Yes, I think if a bad Pokemon got Trick Room as ability, easily shoot up to OU. Look at Pelipper, look at Black and White, Politoed and Ninetales, where they both shot up to OU even though they had bad abilities.
Right.
Or they're bad Pokemon.
So would you want that Trick Room? Like, would you want it to be extended if it was its ability, or still 4 moves? Or maybe they can just extend Trick Room in general to like 5 turns. Why not just do that?
I think that Trick Room should be. So Trick Room technically is 5 turns, but obviously the turn is that turn counts as 1.
Right.
If they made it with that Pokemon, that turn shouldn't count either.
Yeah.
Because that's not it's the same problem. I got to send the Pokemon out.
Right.
But then again, if I used it with like an eject button or something like that, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like I bring it in on something, get it out, and then like a terrain type of thing. That'd be cool.
Right. The ability that allows Pokemon to do more damage when your opponent uses a healing move.
I like that. That breakthrough like defensive teams.
Right.
I think that'd be cool.
Item that prevents damage done by entry hazards.
100% agree.
I hate it. I mean, I love using them, but I despise.
Oh, for sure. They're a pain to fight.
Yeah.
Especially if you're using offense. Offense doesn't have very many ways of dealing with hazards.
Right. Offensive Eviolite.
That sounds broken.
Kadabra, an offensive Eviolite.
Now, obviously, the catch is that the Pokemon doesn't get the defense raise; it gets the attack raise. So it's going to be arguably weaker, slower, not able to do much. But I still think it sounds kind of broken.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Maybe not. Actually.
Well, I think with certain Pokemon,
it's like a choice specs or a choice band.
It is, yeah, to a worse Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can see it.
What about an item that protects users from recoil damage?
Yes. Give it to us.
You want that Reckless plus that item Staraptor? That'd be sick.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Okay, this one is so broken, but an ability that allows a Pokemon to have a 5th move.
That's throw that out. No. If it's anything like that sketch one too, where I have no idea what they have, forget that. Absolutely broken.
An ability where moves that do 50 or less hit twice. 50 base power.
God. Oh, okay. It's basically like giving. It's like Frost Breath almost. Frost Breath always crits.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. That's not that bad.
Yeah. It's kind of like Technician, except a little bit better. For
Except
serves.
except it'd be probably broken on like multi-hit moves,
That's true. Um,
like Technician.
like
So
Technician, yeah. Um, item that increases the chance of secondary effects. Does that exist? I don't think that
like a
does.
Serene Grace type item.
Yeah, so green gray. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool.
and then an item
Uh,
that. Oh, go ahead.
I'd say, but I think it would have to also buff or not work with Serene Grace. I think if it worked with
Yeah, no,
Serene
that would
Grace, it
be
would be too
yes.
nasty.
Yeah, that'd be yeah. And then finally, an item that negates the user's own ability.
Yes, that was also in my top 5 items for some reason.
I should have. I can't believe I missed that video.
Yeah, you actually hit all of them. Trick Room Extender, that, all of them. Defense Vest, all that stuff.
Great.
And I brought back gems as well. But yeah, I'm going with that as well. I do think that, Pokemon Regigigas, Archeops, Slacking, Golisopod. Though Golisopod I'm always iffy about because I think that its ability sometimes is really helpful too.
Yeah.
In like pivoting situations and stuff like that. But yeah, I for sure love that, and I love being able to use those type of Pokemon
Cool.
without it.
All right, so then I have two listener questions, or viewer questions, I guess. So this one's a long one, so I'm just going to read it verbatim because it was a really thoughtful question, I thought. This is from Steven. He said, Smogon and Showdown players have a tendency to bluntly call underviable Pokemon bad or garbage, and it's a little jarring when you're first playing competitively. For me, it definitely gave me a jaded view of some Pokemon. Oh, I already kind of said this. And kind of took away from the magic of it all. I was surprised watching you because you always maintain an excitement to use every Pokemon in its niche and have a general appreciation for them. I'd like to know if you have ever had trouble getting over the Pokemon X's trash mindset, or if that has ever been something you've considered. So this is on competitive, not just in game.
So, I mean, I definitely say like, oh, this mon's trash, this mon's trash. But I say like a joke. Like,
Right.
I'll say it as a joke, for instance. But I genuinely believe that it's not always the team, it's the player. So if a Pokemon has the ability to even have a niche, like not even has a niche, but the ability to have a niche, right?
Right.
I'm all for trying it out. And I don't know. I've always been really optimistic. That's the type of person I am. So I'm passionate about Pokemon. I obviously love Pokemon. So I don't know. I just get excited about it. And it's not something I really have to deal with. Like, this Mon is trash. Like, I'll say it maybe if I'm angry, right?
Right.
And maybe if I'm angry about something, which rarely I'll be angry,
Right.
like legitimately angry. But
Right. Well, and
I know
I
it's
think
just like
the other thing to Steven, who's one of my friends, I don't know if it's just Smogon and Showdown players. I think it's just people can say that to you in your face in the chat if
Yes.
they think something is trash.
for sure.
I
And
mean-
I just ignore chat. Like, I don't need to talk always. If
Right.
anything.
Right.
Like, I mean, if a Mon is bad, sure. People thought Ambipom was terrible, and I got to like number 3 on the ladder and beat the top players.
Oh man, I love Ambipom. That mon is so cool. All right, and then this is from I Am the Critic. Hey Joey, I want to ask you how much time on average you spend building your teams for the WBE.
It's not like I sit down for hours and do it. It's usually throughout an entire week type
Right.
of thing. Like, me and Gypsy King
Yeah.
are just talking back and forth, maybe like a couple minutes a day, maybe sometimes 30 minutes, and then we'll just be like, okay, it's time to actually build the team
Right.
and do it. So I can't really give like a set amount, like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours type of thing, but
Right.
because it's literally not in a time period like that. It just happens sporadically. Like, oh, look, what do you think? Like, we'll look at team preview and be like, okay, what do you think looks good? Like, oh man, Volcarona looks amazing here. I'm like, okay, cool, that's a general idea. I'll write down Volcarona. I'll put it there, and we start like looking at sets and things like that. So
Yeah.
I couldn't really put it into time if I'm
Right.
being.
Well, and something that I found is just having someone to talk to about it is so huge, and it's just so
Yeah.
much. It's so much better having that person.
Yeah, makes it easier, especially though definitely multiple people makes it harder because eventually all these
Yeah.
heads colliding on certain things.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, thanks so much for being on the channel. I really appreciate it. For you taking the time out of your day to talk to me. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a great conversation.
Yeah.
So I hope you did too.
I enjoyed it too.
Awesome. Do you want to tell us, you kind of told us what's coming next already. I asked that at the beginning, but everyone who watches me probably knows who you are anyway. So
Hey, you never know.
That's true. So yeah, for leading up to Sword and Shield, you mentioned your guide, your competitive battling guide. Is there anything else that you want to reveal?
I'm still finishing my Farewell Mega Series. I got about 18 of them left.
There's 18 left? Damn.
Yeah, doing
A
this
lot of
RU road with Jam, and then I just started doing some sort of pack battle thing with Moet, which is really fun. So there's not like anything super crazy coming out between now and then. It's just more so I'm enjoying my time right now, and then before the real like, oh, I gotta do this a million videos a day because I'm so excited to play and I want to show everything off type of thing, right? So there might be some big announcement though coming out in October. There might be a few big announcements actually coming out in October. So
we'll see. We'll look forward to that. And are you just, once you get Sword and Shield, are you just gonna play through it all in like one night, or?
Oh, that's how I usually play it. It's not even like me. Well, I mean, I'm sure the game's gonna be huge. Like Sun and Moon took 23 hours to beat.
Right.
So I can't. I'm not a kid. I'm not gonna stay up for 24 hours anymore. I can't do that. My body hurts anymore. But
I feel that, dude. I'm 20. How old am I now? I'm 24 now.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't know my age.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird zone to be in. All right, man. Well, thanks again so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think we'll get out of here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, once again, thank you so much for having me. I did enjoy the talk, and awesome. I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Hey guys, it's me again. I hope you guys did enjoy that conversation. Once again, huge thanks to Joey for coming onto the show. It was an honor having him on and to be able to talk to him about Pokemon. Going forward, as I said, we are going to be having an episode every single Thursday. If you have ideas or things I want to talk about or listener questions, you can comment on my YouTube channel or in the comment section down below of this video. You can also email me at bigtimebrownie6@gmail.com. You can also follow me and DM me on Twitter at bigtimebrownies, just at bigtimebrownie, pretty straightforward. And yeah, those are basically the main ways you can contact me. If you did enjoy episode 1 of the xTransceiver podcast, it would mean a lot if you could like this episode on YouTube. Also, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you do not miss the next episode of the xTransceiver podcast or any of our uploads. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you'll stay and enjoy some of my content. I'm having a lot of fun recording. We do Let's Plays, showdown battling, draft leagues, and hopefully soon TCG. I'm trying to remember if I forgot anything, but I don't think I did. Alright guys, I'll see you guys next time. Remember, one video from Big Time keeps your life sublime, so until next time, bye!